to be able to see the nuances both in your perspective and the opposing perspective. And if you're not able to do that, then with the subject of today, grounding, especially in one's perspective, perspectival grounding. How do you know if you have a grounded perspective? If you are in alignment with being able to discern truth, especially in a very polarized society nowadays. We have lots of agendas being pulled all over the place, and how to be able to spot the nuances and not get sucked into any kind of grand narratives. So the first thing is being able to see the validity in all perspectives. And a lot of people would hear that and think that you are just trying to equalize everything and put some kind of saying that all perspectives are equal. But that's not really what that's communicating. That doesn't mean that all perspectives are equal. It's just that you see some validity within all perspectives. And that's the biggest giveaway, one of the biggest giveaways to know if you are grounded or not. An ungrounded, someone who's not very grounded with their perspectives of the world, they have a lot of things that they're opposed to, especially politically or ideologically, and even sometimes religiously. But that's the biggest giveaway. If that's going to the next point about intellectual sovereignty. I know many people have not even heard of these two words being used together. I know it's a bit of a weird jargon, but give it a look up. Intellectual sovereignty. If you're not grounded and you find yourself viewing a lot of things that you oppose, or not being able to see the validity of the other side of wherever you stand, your stance, that means there's a lack of intellectual sovereignty there. And if you don't work on that, it's basically robbing yourself of emotional intelligence and wisdom and awareness to be able to see the nuances both in your perspective and the opposing perspective. And if you're not able to do that, then that's a big indicator that there's some awareness work left to be done. Because what the ungrounded perspectives like to do is it likes to use two strategies as a self-serving mechanism. When I say self-serving, I mean to reinforce whatever your current viewpoint is, and to deny, deflect, dismiss, blame, fog, all of these mechanisms that it uses to trap your perspective in a bubble, and to not see the other side. But the main two mechanisms that's being used to do that is oversimplification of a matter or an issue or something, so you get this very black and white thinking, and oversimplification and also, I guess, denial or dismissiveness. And the oversimplification one, what it tends to do is water down a lot of nuances to either make that perspective an extreme or deny it or dismiss it. So if someone says, that's a loose example. If someone says, I think children should have a right to education or whatever, and then someone who's opposed to that view would water that down to a simplified black and white thinking and saying, children should be taught at home or whatever, because the world is very dangerous, and children should be taught at home. But you see, that perspective doesn't see nuances. It sees either something good or bad. So it's very, and that goes to the other point. Extremes, whenever you have some kind of extremists, especially wokeism. I know people like to, there's this big wave of woke culture. Everyone's woke and wishes to be critical about something that's not just in this world. But the wokeism, it serves a purpose. I'm not here saying that wokeism is a bad thing and you should not be woke or try to be aware of some stuff, but it serves a purpose. But it tends to create a lot of demonization narratives like the evil other, and it creates some kind of collective ungroundedness in your perspective, where you have something you're opposing, and to oppose it you go to the opposite extreme. But what you don't know that's gonna do is just tip the scale to the opposite extreme, and you slowly become the very thing that you were opposing. And that's the mechanism that a lot of wokeism culture tries to mimic. But it's the nuances and the other side that's being ignored there in order to go to extremes. Whenever you are ignoring the other side or dismissing it or deflecting, denial, blame, gaslighting, fogging, then you blind yourself to the nuances. And what that does is make you tip the scale to the opposite extreme of whatever you were opposing to begin with. And then you slowly become the very thing you're opposing. But that's the mechanism that's at play here on a societal and a collective level. And it goes the same even in the interpersonal level, on a personal level. And another big giveaway that you are not grounded in your perspective of the world or of reality, or I guess a solid, stable perspective, is you can't really engage in conversation with an opposing actor without either feeling the need to be defensive or a sense of that you're being offended. And you see this pattern everywhere. in all little subcultures that's opposing, I guess, another subculture. Even, I guess, in religion also, that you see that same pattern. Even science. Even science has that same pattern where scientists are looking for, I guess, some conclusive evidence of something that opposes another study, and you can't see the nuances into how the two studies are connected. And so that's all because of one reason: a lack of groundedness in one's perspective is simply a lack of self-reflexivity. A lack of self-reflexivity, not being self-reflective. And what the ungrounded perspective does when it tries to self-reflect is, even when it does go to self-reflect, it's to a degree where others are responsible for whatever suffering or bad thing that's going on in their lives, or in their agenda, or their study, or whatever they're trying to prove off, or whatever. And it doesn't. It tries to shy away from looking within deeper, beyond that surface level of whatever you think might be causing your inconvenience. But when you approach an opposing actor with genuine curiosity of learning about how the other sees, then you deeper understand and empathize, and you gain a bit more wisdom there. You gain a bit more emotional intelligence there. But you see the difference there? Also, ungrounded perspective people tends to sometimes have a little slight bit of curiosity, a little spark to learn about the opposing actor or the opposing viewpoint or whatever. But what they tend to do is they learn as a self-serving thing. They try to learn it as something to serve itself, either to argue better against the other side, or to further confirm the limited perspective that they're already holding. So it's kind of funny a bit. But yeah. So how do you become more grounded in your perspective? How do you start to gain more discernment to see through all of the polarized narratives that's happening within yourself and within the external? One good thing that you can do is meditate. Meditation is a good practice for increasing your capacity for self-reflexivity. And that in turns help you to start seeing more nuances within yourself, within others, within people's vocabulary of how they speak, of how they approach, of how they see the world, of how you start to see all the nuances and how even whatever you previously opposed, how it fits together to that very thing that you held. But yeah, and also when you start to become a bit more grounded in your perspective, you can engage in conversations with other perspectives that's very different to the one you hold presently, and that doesn't threaten you in any kind of way. either your identity or your morals, your standpoints, and you can be empathetic towards even an opposing perspective or an opposing ideology, and you could see the nuances there, and you could say, okay, that's interesting. Genuine curiosity. So yeah, that in turns will give you more will make you more emotionally intelligent, will make you more, I guess, more wise and more self-aware and I guess able to say you have I don't wish to use those mythological terms, but yeah, I guess I'll stay scientific since we are speaking about groundedness. But yeah, this is what I like to speak about, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.